Okay, so I thought I'd unbox my old Sony MZ1, which I haven't had out of the attic for quite a while now. And just to show what it was like and just talk about a little bit of the history of Minidisc. So we've got instruction book, got all the details here on the back. There was a case that these came with. Got a little 2025 dasher there. Get rid of my disc for a bit. So this came out in December 1992 in the UK. I went to there was an official launch in Bristol held by Sony just before that, and it was great. They had these, and they had the MZ2Ps, which was the same size machine, same massive size machine, but all it could do was playback. And I think it was that. I think that was 350, and I can't remember. It was either £500 or £600 on launch. I think it was £600, but obviously you can check on that. This is just really the go-through Minidisc as a format, really, and how it works. So just plug in and see if it's still working. I used to have quite a few issues with loading on this one. Now I've got a car adapter. You won't see many of these about for an MZ1. I've got random bags and this very stylish case, which was the official case for it at the time. So let's get rid of all that. I don't really need the instructions anymore. Now I used to demonstrate these in a Sony Centre years ago, and used to demonstrate all the editing, used to love it. The discs, when they first came out, have I got one of the originals? Yeah, so this was one of the original discs, and this one. Now the 60-minute disc was $8.99 and the 74-minute disc was $10.99 back in the day. I can't remember how much these ES discs were. These ceramic discs were, I'm sure, were quite expensive. But these are just sort of later versions of Sony Minidisc that came out. Obviously it was their format, but they did have some other makes used to manufacture the discs. So let's get rid of all that. Now inside, no, let's pop in one of these samplers and see. Yeah, this was the issue I used to get. You can see it says eject here. So I used to just keep trying, but and then eventually it would tend to take it. Now I can remember it used to be better if it was upside down. Okay, still better when it was upside down. Now these had a buffer memory, which compared to a lot of the CD players at the time, meant that they didn't skip, and it also meant that it was really handy for use for recording, because when it recorded, it didn't have to record it in a straight line. It could record like a hard disk does today, where if you say you recorded 10 tracks and deleted tracks 2 and 7, they could amount to 8 minutes. You could then do an 8-minute recording in the space that they came from. So it would record on the first bit and then record on the next bit. But the buffer memory, which is about 6 or 10 seconds, used to be able to accommodate for it. So when you played it back, you didn't get any skips. Right, I'll just plug in my Bose speaker. Let's get rid of these as well, keep it tidy. So on the side we've got line in and line out. Both of these are optical as well as being analog. So I'm going to use analog today. Separate mic input with an analog record level, automatic gain control, an attenuator for the mic to boost or lower the level. I might do a mic recording in a minute. I can't remember. I haven't done one of those for a while. In fact, I don't know what disc I've got to record on, but I can try. On the other side, we've got a hold switch, play mode, so like program, shuffle, things like that. Bass control, normal, mid and max, and a resume function, and then just an ordinary volume control. These had great headphone output stages, really, really loud. But let's do it through the aux today, so you'll be able to hear it. Now, I won't be able to play much of the tracks because obviously it will be picked up. But you can see here, it changes the name of the track which at the time was a great thing. And you could actually type in the names of the tracks yourself, and you'd be using these keyboards, a bit like an old style mobile phone, where you would you'd basically name the track and name the album. But it was what was so revolutionary at the time is that the other formats about, I mean, there was DCC, which was a cassette-based format, which had to fast forward to the next track. So if you wanted to go from track 1 to track 15, you had to wait for that whole tape to run all the way around to get to it. Whereas on Minidisc, because it was an optical format, you could go right to track 11 and it was there straight away. So that was something great about it, but also the fact that it was near CD quality recording on a disc that was very durable. It's called magneto-optical, so it used the laser to heat up the disc, and then it would push and pull with a magnet to change the information on the disc. And it was A-track was the recording method, and A-track was about a sixth of the information of a CD, but used really clever algorithms and really sounded good. I mean, I used to do lots of listening tests, and because on this you used to have an optical out, you could go through a DAC and get even better sound. I can see I've got a bit of a bend there. There used to be, is there a dent on the, yeah, there's a bit of a dent on here, so it's been dropped. But still working. It's now 2017 and it was, so 1992. It's a long time and I used to use this a lot. Now I used to use it on this old CD adapter, which was in the car. It's a bit rough at the moment. And I can't see any, oh, it must have been where this has rubbed off. I had a bit of Velcro and I used to pop it in the car and have it through my stereo. So I had in-car Minidisc at the time because, well, there wasn't in-car Minidisc initially, but when it did come out, it was £1,200 for a head unit, and that head unit didn't even have an amp in it. So, and I was not earning a lot of money at the time, still not now. So to have Minidisc in the car, not many people had that. This old deck here was a CD Discman one, and it's dampened. I made the metal bit I made. I'm not too proud of it, but it was a long time ago. And it was for this Discman just to deviate for a while. I'm going to try and do this with no edits. So this used to clip on. It's got some metal clips like that. Okay. That was it. So because these discs used to skip and skip badly, it needed this dampening, and it used to work in the car. I had a, what did I have at the time? Peugeot 309, I think I had. This clipped over the little sort of shelf bit by the gear stick, so it was right in the middle. And what's quite nice about these is it used to have an equaliser on it. Very low output stage on this. Now this has got, so that it's a really nicely built. Oh, I haven't got a CD in there. Now I think this one, I'm not sure if this works particularly well now. This was, I think, £350. It was the most expensive Discman at the time. None of these things I bought new so far. I bought them off colleagues that I was working with at the time. Well, let's see. Let's plug that. Sorry to deviate from Minidisc, but let's just make this a ramble. Make it something you can fall asleep to if you have trouble sleeping. So on the back there's a line output. Oh, and something's flickering, so I don't know if it's actually playing. You'll be able to see better than me. So play. Oh yeah, play. Oh, there you go. So still working. Again, I can't play a lot of it because YouTube will cut my video. But here we had different equaliser modes, and we had it was programmable as well, so you could program it to play tracks in whatever order you wanted. But the dual display, it's a really solid machine. And also, I'm a big fan of optical. Optical's a connection that's been around for many, many years. This is a rare disc player that had optical out. So what that meant is, again, you could go through a separate DAC or an amplifier or receiver that had that sort of functionality on it. And there you can see that was coming through my main amplifier. Well, let's unplug that for now. So this was the DZ555. It's all metal. It used to come with NiCad rechargeable batteries. I think they're NiCad. 600 milliamp. I can't even see if it's NiCad. Anyway, I'm sure they'd be NiCad for the time, but these have long gone, long failed. I mean, that's a really solid piece of battery. So let's click that back on. So headphone output, line output, ordinary DC in. You couldn't use ordinary batteries with this. And then optical out and remote. Now the remote bit, now you won't see many of these about. This is a RM-DM5K that pops into there, and then that meant that I had a remote controlled CD player with optical out. So this for many years was my main CD player, and it served me well. You know, I loved it. Obviously times have changed now, so let's get rid of that as well. And go back to the MZ1. So let's just eject that disc and put in a disc that I can, right, upside down, there's your tip. And it will stop after a while. So it's not, if you can't get discs in your MZ1, then you might want to put it upside down. But while it still thinks it's ejecting, let's try and put something else in. Yeah, that's working. Blank disc. Right, so go into the line output. Let's put a microphone in it. I've got lots of Sony gear around me. I worked for Sony centres for, I don't know, 15 years or so, and I've always loved technology. Now this microphone is an ECM something. I don't know what it is. Something like a 919 or something like that. I can't see any writing on it. I think it was about 40 or 50 pound at the time. So let's plug it in to mic and see if we're able to record. So nothing's working there. Now it could be that the disc is write protected. I wouldn't have thought so though. Doesn't want to eject. Oh. Reading. Then let's try it. Press record now. Ah, we're recording. Right, okay. Whoa, so it's coming through the speaker. Let's turn the speaker off. Right, so what I'll do is replace the audio that my iPhone is recording with the soundtrack that's recorded from the Minidisc, so you can see, does it sound better? Now I'm obviously a lot closer to the microphone, and it's a stereo mic, whereas it's a mono mic in that one, but this will be recording onto Minidisc using the compression that Minidisc uses. So let's stop that. Talk edit, you couldn't do anything while that was, because that's basically writing the contents to the disc. So I don't need my microphone anymore, so let's keep this tidy by getting rid of that. Hit play and see if it still works. Speaker on.
Battery 100%.
Whoa, so it's coming through the speaker. Let's turn nice feedback. Right, so what I'll do is replace the audio that my iPhone is recording with the soundtrack that's recorded from the Minidisc. Okay, so that obviously works. Now let's try some of the edit features. So what I'm going to do is I'll flip your screen so you can see. Nope. Pause it. You used to have combine. Okay, I'm sure it was the edit button. Play. Closer to the microphone. Combine. Divide. And it's a stereo mic, whereas it's a mono mic in that one. Okay, so let's go. Oh, they dictate track name as well. So let's call it test. T. Oh, okay, I had to put the first letter in. T, enter. Okay, I'm not sure how you move on. Oh, it might be the plus and minus to move on. So let's say enter to write, and my memory doesn't fare as well as I thought it did. Right, disc name, track name. So T, and I used to do this for all my albums because at this time it was the only way to name your tracks, so they came up on the display. So test, enter again. Now what I used to do as a demo is I used to get rid of a word from a sentence just to show, and I used to be quite quick at this. Now I'm not going to be quick now, but let's try and get rid of a word from my sentence. Whoa, so it's coming through the speaker. There's 10 speaker. Right, so combine, divide, enter, enter. So now we've got track 1 and track 2. Replace the. What I'll do is replace. So I'm going to get rid of me saying so let's. Oh, a bit too slow. A bit too slow. There you go. Combine, divide, enter, enter. What I'll do is replace the audio that my. So now I need to erase track 2. Combine, divide, erase. And this was good at the time. This was amazing, and I was, really pleased when I was demonstrating this to show how incredible this was at the time. Obviously, at the moment, you can use your Mac or your Windows computer, and you can edit, and you can move things around, and you can multi-layer tracks, and I mean, just completely different. So now what I've done is I've deleted track 2. So now we've got 2 tracks on here, and I've got rid of the bit where I go. So let's play that back, and you'll see when it switches from 1 to 2. Whoa, so it's coming through the speaker. There's 10 speaker. Right, so what I'll do is replace the audio. You see, so this was where it was seamless, where you could get rid of something, there was no audio glitch or any other noise, and it meant that, if I used to record music, so there was a concert on TV, I would record that, especially if I had an optical output on the device I was recording it from, so you could record it digitally without any analog conversion. Obviously you listen to it in analog, but then I used to edit the tracks, and I used to get rid of the adverts and the bit was speaking, and then I'd end up with a whole concert. And I don't know if I've got... Right, you might have heard me drop on my mini disc, but luckily that shows their durability. So let's go back to this. Right. So table of contents edit. So we could see that my mini disc recorder is still recording and still working, still letting me name the tracks. Haven't got a 2025 battery in here, which was important, which was it meant that if your battery went flat, it would remember date and settings and things like that and resume function. And I don't think I haven't got a rechargeable battery in here. I don't know if I've got, I must have one somewhere, I would have thought. But I mean, they'd be long gone. But that's Minidisc. That's the first Minidisc recorder, and it was a great machine. Sony improved them from a size point of view, but I don't think they ever bettered this because they generally kept getting rid of things when they bought them out. I think this is the only one with an optical output. So you could record and then optically output to an amplifier. So I love it. It's and I've got 2, but I don't know where I've put my other one, but I've actually got 2, but the other one doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know where, it must be in the loft. But this one, my original one, which I bought off a colleague I used to work with, I think I paid £250, and it came with some discs and things because he didn't need the discs anymore. But yeah, still going strong, and I don't know what I'll do with it, but it's still a great machine. So let's get rid of that and bring in one of its successors. Now, we had a promotion on these where this is the MZ-E2. These went down to £99. I think they came out at £350. Now you can see this very elegant battery case. Basically, it worked off a lithium battery, but I think you only got a couple of hours or so. Oh crikey, I'm stuck to it. I don't think there's anything else I know. Yeah, so this has 3 ordinary AA batteries, which is quite handy because it meant if you couldn't get it to a charger, then you're okay. That's a bit of rubber band, which was what I used to hold this shut, because the lithium battery, which it's always good to be well prepared. You can see how professional my videos are. I'm recording on green screen, by the way, because I'm going to experiment with changing the base that this is on. I quite like green anyway because it looks nice and clean and contrasty. But yeah, lithium battery, which gave I think a couple of hours, but that hatch broke. We've got auto volume limiter, because Sony were worried about hurting your ears. We used to always say that to people. Mega bass boost, normal, mid and max. This didn't have as good a headphone output stage as the MZ1 that you've just seen, but obviously it's very small for the day, really. You know, cassette Walkmans were this sort of size. This is a dictation machine, so we don't need to do much about that one. So if I click this on and screw it up, it had remote control headphones, so there's no display on here. The remote control headphones had an LCD display, and I'm sure I've got them somewhere, but I do need to sort my loft out. So let's hit play, and oh no, so you've got to plug this in. Hit play, and then plug back into my trusty Bose speaker. And wait.
Hi, thanks for taking time out to test drive the Sony Minidisc. Have a listen to
Let's get that at the beginning, because I can play this, because this isn't going to be royalties.
Thanks for taking time out to test drive the Sony Minidisc. Have a listen to each of the 3 tracks on this disc to sample the quality of Minidisc. And at the end of the disc, find out whether you are one of the lucky prize winners. Good luck and good listening. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for taking time. Hi.
So there was 3 tracks on here. 1, 2, quiet one, and 3. And this disc came on a magazine. I don't know if it says what magazine it came on. The Live MD Sampler, Desiree, Deacon Blue, Heaven West. So this is 1994. So it was fairly early on in a couple of years into Minidisc. Not for sale. I had loads of these. I can't remember what I did with them, because people had to bring this into the Sony Centre to be able to enter into a competition. So yeah, that was free on a magazine, and I literally had a pile of them. I don't know if I kept them, if I've got a pile of them somewhere, but I had a pile of those. They were great. What else have I got? Oh, the Minidisc came with cases. So on the ES ones here, the top end ones, you can see it's got a separate case to keep it, but they were closed, so you couldn't really get in. You know, you didn't really have any worries about the disc, really. You know, not like a CD. I would chuck them in the car and stuff. As you can see, they're pretty rough. If you flip down here, you can see the underside of the disc. So this is the laser side of the disc that it reads, and the top part was where the magnet used to push and pull to record the contents. But I mean, it was, at the time, it was the format. You know, DAT was better quality, DAT tape. DCC was the same sort of quality, but they were both tapes. So, you know, things like naming the tracks, being able to skip the tracks, being able to program, none of that was anything like as seamless as Minidisc. But obviously we've moved on now, and we're well away from that sort of era. But let's get rid of that as well. What else have I got? I've literally gone into my loft and I thought, let's just do a bit of a showcase of Sony and just show some of the Sony bits I've got, he says, with the Bose speaker. So let's get rid of that. So my first digital camera, which is a DSCP 550, DSCP 50. Now this used memory sticks, and the memory stick in here is 128 meg memory stick. Now at the time this retailed for £130. Now I think I paid trade. I think I paid about £65 or £70, but that's 128 megabits, so it was £1 a megabyte. So if you think of that today, where you can buy like a 32 gig, way bigger, much faster, and you can probably get them for about £8 I spec now. This one takes ordinary batteries, but you could use NiCad batteries, but it was an alkaline battery killer at the time. So you'd literally put them in, take about 10 photos, and that would be it. It really was. And if you use flash, you're probably looking at 5. So I don't know if this is still working. Press and hold. Oh yeah, lights come on. So it's on camera mode now. The display, I think I said the clock. So let's just hit 2001. This is showing us battery's flat. Okay, it does still work, but this is more about Minidisc than anything. I might do something on this because actually the pictures on this at 2 megapixel had a optical viewfinder, which was nice. 3 times optical zoom, I think. 6.4 to 19. 6 to 18. Yeah, oh yeah, 3. It says it on there, which saves me doing the maths. But yeah, I used that on skiing holidays, and I used it. My son used to use it just as a toy, and it actually. I know 2.1 megapixel sounds not very good, but when you've got a reasonable lens, and at the time lots of cameras didn't used to be brilliant at focusing and you couldn't see your pictures straight away. It was a great camera. I've got all the box and everything for that in my loft. What else have I got? Original PSP, got all the box and packaging and everything for this, and the UMD disc. This is the very first generation PSP. My boss at the time went to Japan for the launch of the PSP, and they gave all the directors these, and he ended up selling it to me for £100, £120, something like that, and I was delighted at the time. I've rooted it, and it hasn't had any updates for years, but it plays original PlayStation 1 games. You have to have the original disc, copy it to your computer, rip it, run it through a converter. I mean, I haven't done it for years, so I wouldn't remember how to do it. But it plays Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX, which is my favourite game of all time, perfectly. It really, really works well. So PSP, great machine. Didn't have a lot of time on that. This is a strange one. This apparently, well, not apparently, it's true. This belonged to Damien Hirst. This is a DVP FX1, which I think at the time was about £1,200. He bought this in to be repaired at the Sony Centre, and I think it couldn't be repaired, so it got scrapped. And when we were closing everything down, they were chucking a load of stuff out, and I literally made a pile and said, look, if you're going to throw it away, can I have it? And they said I could. So that's my claim to fame. I think this works, but I haven't got the power supply at hand, so let's get rid of that. Again, I might come back to some of these in videos. Or let's go on about formats of Sony being innovators. So we've got Minidisc, we've got memory stick, then they did memory stick Duo, the little tiny ones. That's a PlayStation memory card, so all sort of unique things to Sony. And this is a little Minidisc NT, I think it was called. Yeah, it's got NT written on there. So this was a 60-minute tape with a similar quality to DAT, and the recorder was tiny. I haven't got one of those. I think they were about £600 at the time. This came off a display, so you can see there's no actual cassette in there, but it is tiny. You know, Minidisc is small, and that little NT tape is brilliant. So I've always kept that. And I love it as a little sort of spy recorder type thing. The machines, the recorders were probably about that sort of size, I would think, but it recorded in DAT quality, and so, you know, really quite an amazing product at the time. Right, still doing it in one take, I think. I don't think I've messed up too badly. Hopefully you've not fallen asleep. So let's just do the last thing I think I've got on the desk here that I could think of, which is phones. So my wife had this one, I had this one, and this is the second mobile phone I ever owned. This was £499, and again I bought it second hand. I can't remember what I paid for it, but my wife was at university at the time, and we paid a fortune to keep this thing running. And there was no texting, there is no display on it. It literally was make and receive phone calls. But at the time it was the world's smallest, and you'll probably have seen the old, but this is the volume controls coming away. You've probably seen the old brick phones and the yuppie phones that were around at the time. I was hoping that was going to work. Right, so that used to flick down, and so that's how you'd hold it to make your call. And it used to get really hot when it was in use. As an antenna, you could get like an extended antenna. So this would unscrew and you could put another one on there. But this was Just an amazing piece of kit at the time. Just so cool that you could have a phone of this sort of size, but it literally did nothing but phone calls. And the networks weren't great at the time. I can see something's actually broken off it there. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera. I wonder where that came from. Oh well, go back in the box with it. But it's got this, oh, is it going to flip down now? No, it still doesn't flip down. You're supposed to press this for mic release and it flips down, but it's, I can feel it's very, yeah, it's really got quite a bit of resistance there. So you had a belt clip and popped it in here and flipped it shut. So that was, oh, let's give you the model number of that, because if you wanted to look that up, if you're interested in that, because I know I'm not giving a lot of facts. This is more a case of, you know, things that I used and used to enjoy using and used to sell. So this is a CM-R111, and as I say, it was £500 at the time. And this one is a J70E, which was on orange, and this is a K300i, which was on orange. Which my wife loved this phone. I had quite a job getting her onto a smartphone, but I never liked it. I mean, I've got quite big hands. This one was all right as a phone, but again, I guess you must be able to text on these, but I can't remember texting on them. It's got a bit of a leak in the LCD display there. Right, is that all I feel I need to cover? It's a Minidisc recording, playback. Yeah, I think that's probably enough today. I might come back to some of these products, but it was just an archive thing really, because at the time a lot of these products came out, there wasn't any YouTube, so there probably aren't that many videos about, and I've seen other people do old tech, and Sony at the time was the company. I mean, they, I was working for them, and it was great, new products coming out, and it was just really interesting, and if you love tech, it was a great time. This is just a 3.5 to optical adapter, which could be handy for certain products like my MZ1. So that basically, because these are 3.5mm optical and analog in the same connection, you pop that in, and then you can pop in this is a 10-meter cable over to my amp. You can pop that into the device to use it. All right, well, thanks for watching. Sorry I went on so much. Hopefully I'll add some green screen effects and make this a bit more interesting, and I'll try and edit in that audio recording from the microphone. But if anything, if it sends you to sleep, then that's a good thing, because it's good to sleep. We all need sleep. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.